But here's the key. You won't do any of those things if you forget. So how do you remember? You can't talk business the whole time. That's not fun.
100%.
So how do we get more done together as a couple? I'm gonna talk in this video about how my husband and I for the last couple of years have really been intentional to sit down and make some goals. And I know it's this time of year where we make goals, and so how do we make them count as a couple? I think this is something that a lot of people are not talking about. Before we jump in this video and I tell you more about how to set your goals, how to make things happen this year, how to remember your goals, I just want to tell you what setting goals has done for Matt and I. We've been married going on 11 years, and during that time, we've gone to physical therapy school. We've paid off $80,000 in 2.5 years. We went on the Dave Ramsey show and did a debt-free scream. That was super fun. But then we remodeled part of our house and sold it for a profit. And then we did this career change that we had on our hearts. And we moved to a new, state, and we've planned our homeschool. We've got 4 small kids. And we've just gotten a vision for our family. We've figured out what our values are going to be for our family, what we want to stand for, what we believe in. And so I just want that to be possible for you. I want you, whatever you want for your family, for you guys to be in alignment, going in the new year, pulling the same way, going in the same direction. One thing I like to say is know where you're growing and plan where you're going. You can be like a vine on the ground, just growing on all kinds of directions. But if we get some system structures, we take some time to plan, we can really be like a vine going up the trellis. We can be planning to go up and in the same direction together. Stay through the end of the video because my husband's gonna hop into the video, give you some of his top tips for getting away together. We try to get away and we try to set some time away to be intentional. You may not be able to do that. And so one idea is just even getting a babysitter and going to a coffee shop for a couple of hours if you can't get away overnight, or even setting aside a couple of nights when the kids go to bed to just really talk through a couple of these things. But setting aside the time is really gonna be key because some of these things are just gonna be kind of impossible to talk through when kids are around. So the first thing we did was we looked back. Instead of looking forward, we looked back at the last year and we even took a marriage assessment. You can find these online. And we took them separately and then we came together and we talked about the results. And it's hard to not be like tender about the things you think you're killing it in and they don't feel like you're killing it in. But it's good to have just this honest moment of, okay, you don't feel like I'm communicating that great in that area. How can I improve? And just opening the lines to things that, probably would have been a fight normally, but if we talk about it, they don't have to be. So marriage assessment was really, really great. And then we also made a list of all of the things that happened this year that was just amazing, where we saw God really come through for us. And when we remembered all that, we just were like, wow, we are so, so grateful for all the things that had happened this year and all the ways we saw him move. So then we talked about the future, and we even started by writing our eulogy. Now don't turn off the video because that sounds really freaky, right? But it's from this book called Hero on a Mission, and he really challenges you to write your eulogy, which is what you would love people to say about you at the end of your life. And this isn't actually what people are gonna read at your funeral, but when you can think that far down the road, then you can start to come back into present moment and think about what you wanna do today. But if we're not thinking about the legacy we want to leave as a couple, we can really start going in different directions. So we did that. That took a while. And then we did our 10, 5, and 1 year goals. Those sheets are found on heroonamission.com. We filled those out at a coffee shop one day, and then we came back and read them together. And we tweaked things if we felt like, well, that's not really something I want to do. We really tried to align them. But here's the key. You won't do any of those things if you forget. So how do you remember? We laminated them. I think laminated paper just feels important. All these things we just crumble up and throw away, laminated paper, and then we read them as often as we can. We put them by our Bible. When we're getting in the Word in the morning, we read our eulogy, we read our 1 year goals, even, if we have time, read the 5 to 10. I'm telling you, it will fire you up and keep you so on track, so you're not wasting time doing other things that are not in alignment with your goals and with your legacy. So that's all bringing it into the present. Ordering your week and your days according to what you want to accomplish that year. Really helps you dial it in every week. And we actually do something called a Team Sullivan. It's like our weekly meeting. I talked about it on the Let's Get Naughty podcast. I'll leave that link down below. We talked about our weekly meeting, and Matt has this really genius Excel sheet that we work through. I'll leave that down too. That's a free download you can grab, but that helps us so much not get off track. We talk about finances. We talk about all the business things, you know, because if you're married, there's just business and bills and things like that, and you don't want that to come into date night. So that's a really key meeting for helping us get so much done together. So this is my husband, Matt, and why don't you tell them the analogy we heard years ago about how, like the horse analogy, and why we can get so much more done together if we're being intentional.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have 3 different sets of horses. You have one over here who's just a single horse pulling by itself. Well, it pulls what you would think one horse pulls. Well, in the middle you have 2 horses. Well, you think, oh, they're going to pull double. Well, they actually pull 2 to 3 times. But if you have 2 horses who are trained, synchronized, who know what's going on, they actually pull 4 times what you think they would pull. So it just shows us the power of being in unity, being in step with each other, and really just pulling as a team.
But you can't do that if you don't know what the other person's going after. We can't like be pulling the same weight together. So I think that's why this whole thing is so important. Okay, what's your top tips for if people want to get away? Like just like fire quick things that you think make that time sweeter.
Yeah, so she said coffee shop, but I prefer if you can get away like longer than 30-minute drive where you can decompress.
The place that we went last, we just got this cheap Airbnb, and we could see the ski slope, but we never went skiing. And they had a pool and a hot tub. I mean, granted, it was like 40 years old or something, but it didn't matter. We did cornhole, we worked out together, we sat in the hot tub, did the sauna. And so there was just some decompression time, because you can't talk business the whole time. That's not fun.
100%. Don't talk business. Have places, do things that are fun. I prefer, and I've recommended this to other people, try to go during the winter where you get a fireplace, you know, so have some fun ambiance, because it's a lot easier to stay inside, because this is primarily going to be an inside trip. So definitely take time to do that. And as she said, come in with a plan. Know, hey, this is what I want to do. Don't try to build the airplane as you fly it. Try to give some work before time. Hey, this is what we want to do. This is what we want to get done, and communicate that so you're on the same page, so that you get done what you want to get done.
So work, play together, some good marriage play, and then rest. Make sure you're resting. I read a good fiction book. The fire was nice. We burnt a whole trunk full of firewood.
Yep.
It was awesome. So that's our top tips. I am so excited for you and your husband to just really think about what God is calling you to do and just go after it this year. Like, no more victim, villain mentality. Go watch this video called You Can Still Change, where I talk about that, because I think that mentality is really going to help you go into the new year. And that's from Hero on a Mission as well. So I'll link that book below, and make sure you hit subscribe. This whole channel is all about helping you become a better woman. And I would love to have you here, and I'll see you again in the next video.
From generation to generation, passed down through every age, there's a story of a Savior whose love will never change.